Good morning, guys. Went to Poundland yesterday. Bought some boats, so I'll use them in some project or other. I just think we put an electric motor in there. And the other thing I bought was some plastic plates, a 6-pack. So I'm going to make a rubber band powered car that uses plastic plates as the wheels, because I get questions about what can we use for wheels. We'll do one of my old favourite styles, just a plastic drinks pop bottle. Cut a hole in the top so we can reach inside, drill some holes for the axles to go through, drill some holes in the middle of here for the axles to go through. I'm hoping, that's typical, I'm hoping there's a little mark in the middle so we can see where the centre is. Yeah, there we are. Little bit of the moulding. So we've got a mark right in the middle so we know where to drill the hole for the centre of the wheel. Hole that is small enough and tight enough for the axle to grip. If it doesn't work, then I'll add a bottle top on the outside to give it a bit more grip, but we'll try it just by drilling the hole straight through. First thing we'll do is mark up where we want the axle holes. This particular bottle's got a nice seam along both sides so we can keep the axle parallel. It's also got a nice line around the end there. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but we can actually mark where we want the holes to go through. And at the front here, what can we use? We can probably use this line that goes around here. That's the position for the hole to go through. So I'll drill some holes there. We need to be able to reach inside to wrap the rubber band around the axle. So we need to cut quite a large area out. Something like that. Where I marked the axle holes, I'm just going to push a map pin through, and that'll help to guide the drill. You could use a hot soldering iron or a hot nail on a stick. That's what I often use, but today I'm going to use the electric drill. I'll be using barbecue skewers for the axles, but not this one. As you can see, it's a bit warped, so make sure when you choose your barbecue skewers they're as straight as possible. Or bamboo canes. I've cut the hole out the side so I can reach inside. Power drill. Holes. Don't want to put your fingers behind them. Ideally you put a piece of wood in there or something to give you something to push against, because if you just try pushing like this, you might be lucky like I was then and it goes through alright. Alternatively it all starts bending around and you don't get anywhere. But that's why we push the little hole through first to stop the top of the drill bit slipping around. That holds it still. Need to make sure those holes are big enough for that axle to spin freely. So you probably need to use a bigger drill than I just used. Larger drill bit. was half hoping it would actually split so I could demonstrate how not to do it, but that went through okay. Again, I would suggest putting a piece of wood behind it to hold it still. Right. My bamboo canes or barbecue skewers are a nice loose fit in those holes. So now we'll drill some holes in those plates. Almost forgot, while you've got the drill out, it's a good idea to drill a hole through there too, because that's where we can connect the rubber band. To guide the drill again, I'm going to push my map pin through that little mark that was in the middle. A bit of moulding, so that'll give us the centre. Now I'm going to drill a hole that's just the right size to be a tight fit on the bamboo skewer. This time I am drilling onto a piece of scrap wood. Well, that's a tight fit, but if it does start to slip, then I'll do what I said. I'll put a bottle cap on the outside, like that, to give it a bit of extra grip. Apparently we're going out, so I won't have time to actually demonstrate it working. We'll go out and have our cup of coffee, and then we'll come back. I'll put a rubber band on it and we'll see if it runs up and down the kitchen. One thing I would normally do, which I haven't done yet, is add a couple of little bits of drinking straw on the axle between the wheel and the bodywork to stop the wheels rubbing against the body, because that slows the car down. But it will work without it, it just won't go quite as far. The other thing you might want to do is glue a little T-piece onto the axle there to make it easier to connect the rubber band. I will probably just hold the rubber band on there and wrap it around so it holds itself in place. But we'll look at that when we come back from our dinner. I've had my cup of coffee, so we'll carry on. Need some rubber bands. If you haven't seen how to join them together before, let's try and make this simple. Push a loop through and push it back through itself. Do that again. Push a loop through, push it back through itself. So there we are, 2 rubber bands, or 3 rubber bands joined together. How does that look for length? We might be able to put a 4th one in there. So we'll do that again. Push it through, and then push it through itself. So 4 rubber bands. Okay, so if we pull this one out, push that through, put that back down through there. That will hold it in place. Probably best to go underneath that axle, so when it drops off the other axle it doesn't lay on top of there. And then at this end, can you see this? Just lay it over the top of the axle, put my finger on it to hold it in place, and then wrap it around a bit until it wraps over itself and holds itself in place. Or, as I said before, you can glue a bit of just the end of one of them, just glue it on T-shape there, and then you've got a hook to hook your rubber band onto. Looks like that'll work. I wonder which way it's going to go. My cars tend to go to the right for some reason. I've no idea why. Let's see. It went left. Okay, so this time I'll point it slightly right and we should go more or less straight. Even when you get the axles perfectly parallel, the car still quite often goes off to one side because the axle bends a bit as you tighten up the rubber band, and that tends to make it turn slightly. So I'll go slightly to the right this time. Maybe need to go a bit more to the right. Okay, that works. Summary time. What have we got? A very simple rubber band powered car made from plastic pop bottle, 2 bamboo skewers or barbecue skewers or bamboo flower canes. I did use a 3rd one there just to hook the rubber band onto. So a hole down through there, hole either side there, hole either side there, and then the wheels are plastic plates from Poundland. They came in a 6-pack, so that was 6 for £1. And it works. You might find an improvement if you put little bits of drinking straw between the bottle and the plate, just to space them out a bit so the wheels don't rub against the bodywork. But as you can see, it worked absolutely fine up and down my kitchen, just as it is. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 components plus rubber bands. Tools used, I used an electric drill to drill the holes. You could just use a pointy implement, a nail or something, but sometimes the plastic splits when you do that. The other thing you could do is use a hot pointy implement and melt the holes. So put a nail on a stick and use that to melt the holes. Nail on a stick, that's what I mean. Nail on a stick. So you can put the nail in a flame to heat it up and it keeps your hands well away from it. I've used it in lots of my videos. So there we go, job done.